All right, this lesson is on complex fractions. All right, so the first thing we've got to do is identify the big fraction. A complex fraction has fractions inside either the numerator, the denominator, or both. And a lot of times it's both. This is a fraction divided by a fraction. So the first thing you've got to do, there's that word again, factor denominators inside if needed. Look at the small fractions denominators and then factor them if possible. Then you've got to multiply by the LCD of all the small denominators. Find the LCD of all of the small fractions inside. Multiply every term, top and bottom, of the big fraction by the LCD. Then we're going to simplify the final answer, and don't forget restrictions. Okay, so let's tackle a problem. So the first thing that I have to do is I need to determine the LCD. So when I look at this, I'm looking at an X, a Y, and an X. So the LCD is X times Y. All right? So then now I've got to rewrite things. So when I go to rewrite things, I am now multiplying them just on top there by the XY. So over here, multiplying it by the XY, this big ugly fraction, 3 over X, multiplying by the XY. And you see when you do that, these, think of this as over 1, those X's are going to cancel, and you're left with the Y. Those Y's are going to cancel, and you're left with the plus 2X. And then those X's cancel, and you're left with a 3Y. And then don't forget your restrictions. Your restrictions when you're talking about the beginning of the problem is X and Y cannot equal 0. Because if there is a 0 for X or Y, it would change it. All right, another problem. Okay, so a new problem, and there might be less going on with this problem. So our LCD is X squared because that's our LCD. You can't do, not really because. So then here on top, I'm going to multiply this times X squared. And then on bottom, I'm going to multiply that times X squared. And when I do so, I end up with 3x over 6. And I can reduce 3x over 6 because they have a 3 in common. So I get x over 2. But I have to take into account the original. X cannot be 0. All right, so just more going on with this, but kind of similar to the other one. So when we're talking about LCD, you look at this. My LCD equals XY. So I'm going to rearrange things like I have been. So 2 over X times XY minus 3 over Y times XY all over 4 over XY times XY. So then now I start canceling what I can cancel. So I'm left with 2y minus 3x over 4. And then I need to take into account that x and y cannot be 0. And then I'm done. Okay, so the steps are the same. It's just this is more complex. So, and remember, we know that x squared minus 1 equals, when I factor x minus 1, x plus 1. So my LCD is that, which is x minus 1, x plus 1. Okay, so now when I start writing, I get x over x plus 1. So I need to now multiply that by an x minus 1, x plus 1, plus 2 over x plus 1. And I'm multiplying that times an x minus 1, x plus 1. And yes, you could have combined those, at the start since they have the same denominator. And 3 over x minus 1, x plus 1, multiplied by x minus 1, x plus 1. So then my next step is to cancel things I can cancel. And I'm left with x times x minus 1 plus 2 times x minus 1 all over 3. So go ahead and simplify. X squared minus x plus 2x minus 2 all over 3. Clean that up, and you get x squared plus x minus 2 over 3. And then remember, our restrictions are going to be x cannot equal 1 or negative 1. So to review, the first thing that you do when solving a complex fraction is factor all denominators. Second thing is you're going to find the LCD of all the small denominators. Thirdly, you're going to multiply the top, as in each fraction, by the LCD, because you're giving it what it didn't have. Then you're going to simplify numerator and denominator, cancel common factors, and state the restrictions.